everyone, my name is Manish Tiwari. In this particular video, we are going to talk about advanced Kubernetes interview questions, and our question will start with the stateful set, and we will be talking about further more interview questions which are related to the advanced Kubernetes interview. So our first question goes as, what are stateful sets and how do they differ from deployments? So the answer is, a stateful set is used for stateful applications. What do you mean by stateful application? That means the application where you want to store the data, the application where you want to have a stable network identity. Correct? So as you see in the definition, that require a stable network identity, persistent storage, and order deployment. That means everything is going in order. It's not kind of hazard things that things are happening randomly. Correct? So the pod which will come up out of the stateful set will be like pod 0, pod 1, pod 2, 3, 4, and that way. And whenever you upgrade or you create anything, correct, that will also happen in a sequence. Like just suppose that I restart this stateful set. So what will happen? These pods will go one by one down in sequence, and it will come one by one up in the sequence only. Correct. So you can see pods are created, updated, and deleted in order. Each pod retains persistent storage across restart. So whenever there will be restart, it will retain its persistent storage, and that persistent storage is defined as part of the stateful set YML definition. So whenever you will be writing YML file for your stateful sets, you will be defining your persistent storage, correct? So that's the definition of a stateful set. Second question is, what is a service mesh and why it is used in Kubernetes? So a service mesh manages service to service communication. Like in the Kubernetes, you define multiple services for your different application endpoints, correct? Like you have 10 microservices. So for different 10 microservices, you create your different services. And if you want to establish the service to service communication, you use service mesh. One of the popular tool for the service message is Istio, that you can see over here. Istio is one of the popular service mesh tool. Why is it used? It is used for your security related thing. It is used for your traffic management. That means load balancing, and it is also used for the observability like tracing, metrics, logging, and all these things. Going forward, how can you secure a Kubernetes cluster? To secure Kubernetes cluster, there are 4C. The first one is cloud provider security, where you can use the IAM rules and firewall rules. When we talk about the IAM, that means AWS IAM, we are talking about identity, access, and management. Or if there is any other things you are trying, like GK related things, you can use the different permissions and rule to secure your Kubernetes cluster. Moving forward, cluster security, that means RBAC, role binding related things. Role binding access control, correct? So with the help of role binding access control that we call as RBAC, and mapping it with your service accounts, so that you give the limited permissions to the different users, to the different roles, correct? If I am having the read access on the cluster and that is mapped with my service account, if I log in into the Kubernetes cluster, I will be able to only read the details, read the different components of the Kubernetes like deployment, stateful set, config map, your secrets, anything. But if I do have the access RBAC like IAM role which is created and mapped in the service account through the RBAC, and that role has the access of modification, so I'll be able to see and modify the details in the Kubernetes cluster directly. Then the third point is container security. Scan your images and use non-root users. Don't use the root users to do any function. Create non-root users, give them permission, and try to work with that. Scan your images after a certain interval of time so that it's not vulnerable and things will go perfectly. So that's the third way. Fourth is code security. Implement secrets management and use network policy. When we talk about secret management, that means your Kubernetes secret, or if you want to use any external provider certificate, you can use that as well. and network policy to enable the communication between the different namespace or to restrict the communication between the different namespace. For that you can use the network policy. By default, communication between the different namespaces are allowed within the cluster, but you have to implement the syntax as well. But if you have to restrict, you can use the network policy to secure the communication between the different namespaces within the cluster. Question number 4, what are taints and toleration in Kubernetes? So taints are applied on the node side and tolerations are applied on the pod side. You can see here as well, mark nodes to reject pods, allow pods to ignore certain taints. That means if you have to specify something like any particular condition on your node side, you can use this particular command kubectl taint nodes node 1 key 1 equal to value 1 colon no schedule. What can be here? Whenever there is an environment called staging, just suppose that key 1 is the environment and your value 1 is staging. So whenever there is an environment equal to a staging attached with any pod, that pod will not be scheduled over this particular node. That's the taint. It says that mark nodes to reject pod. But if there is a pod which has the toleration for this key 1 value 1, that means if that has environment equal to a staging colon no schedule, then that pod can be scheduled to this node. As you can see here, this is the YML file for the pod, kind pod, correct? And then you see tolerations key 1 key operator equal value 1 and effect no schedule. It's similar to the taints, key 1 value 1, key 1 equal to value 1 and effect is no schedule. Here also it's no schedule. That means whatever the taint is applied on the node, this pod has toleration, this particular pod, correct? This pod has toleration for that node. So this pod will be allowed to schedule on node 1 where we had applied taints, correct? So that's the way of taint and toleration, how we can apply it. Moving forward, question number 5, what are Kubernetes sidecar containers and how are they used? A sidecar container runs alongside the main application, correct? What is the use of that? Like you have to get the files or get the logs from the main application, correct? Your main application is running in parallel and to the parallel of your main application, there will be one more container which will be running that we will call as sidecar container, and this container will extract the data from your main container. Whatever the main container will write logs or metrics, that will be tracked by this sidecar container and it will be running into the parallel of your main application. So whenever it will work and it will write, your sidecar container will fetch the data. So it is used for logging and monitoring, collecting logs with fluentd. You can deploy this such as sidecar container. Here also you can see this is kind pod, as in the specification. If you see within the containers, there are two containers which is running. My app, which is called as main app, correct? This will be your application image. Then there is second one, image fluentd, and name is log collector. It's running into the parallel. This will be called as sidecar container, correct? Both are writing the files on the volume mounts called as shared logs at the directory /var/log, and even your main application is running over there. So they are using shared logs volume and they are writing. So your main application will be writing the logs at this particular directory and your fluentd will start collecting from there. The sidecar container runs fluentd which collect logs from the main container via shared volume. Question number 6, name 3 typical pod error causes and how they can be fixed. Your pods can get stuck anywhere. Depends on the configuration, depends on the permissions, depends on your ports or resources, anything, correct? So the popular one, pod stuck in pending. What does that mean? There might be less number of resources which are available for your pod to run and less number of resources on your node side, correct? So what you can do, suppose that your pod needs 500 memory to run, correct? And your node has only 200 MB left. So this pod cannot be scheduled on that. It will try to get a scheduled, but it won't be because there are not enough number of resources. So you need to check node availability, whether your node is healthy or not, whether resources are enough or not. You can check the events of the pod for further information. You can use this kubectl get events. You can use the kubectl describe. You can use the kubectl get deployments. You can check for the different files related to your deployment, related to your logs, related to your pod, related to your container. Correct? Here you won't be able to get into the container because your pod is stuck. Correct? So you can use all the different kubectl commands to investigate. You can use the watch command to check like how things are getting in progress. Then you can use the crash loop. The second error is crash loop back off. Investigate app logs and check misconfiguration. What can be error here? Crash loop back off. The security port, the port which on which your application is running, that is not allowed. The permissions are not enough to run this particular application, so you need to check the logs. The same commands you can use here: kubectl describe, kubectl get events, kubectl log, and your pod name. These commands you can use, and you can use the kubectl describe command, and at the end you can use this -o yml, so that you can get the yml files and you can check the details, and accordingly you can do the edit as well if you have to. Then image pull back off. That means it's not able to pull the image from your artifactory, from your repository where you have stored. Either it may be a WCCR, it might be your JFrog, or anywhere you have stored. Correct? So ensure the name of the image is correct, the tag associated with the image is correct, you have enough number of permissions to fetch that particular image, you have that credentials. Again, investigate the pods events for further information. You can use this kubectl describe what we have talked. Correct? Next question is, how do you implement zero downtime deployments in Kubernetes? For that you can use this rolling updates. It's default, gradually replacing old pods with new ones. Like if there are 4 number of pods, and if you have done the restart, so your fourth number pod will go down. The moment it will go down, new pod will come up, and the moment new pod will come up, then your final fourth pod will go down. The moment your new pod does not come up, the older pod will not get terminated. So it goes in sequence, one by one and one by one. Canary deployment testing with the subnative users. You might be already aware of canary deployments. Then you can go with the BG deployments as well to switch between the production and test environment. That is more towards the zero downtime. If you have a heavier application and you want confirmed zero downtime, so you can use the blue-green deployments. Now, how do you safely upgrade a Kubernetes cluster? So for that, you can drain and backup etcd. Etcd is the heart of your cluster. Correct? It stores everything. So before the upgrade, to ensure that you can restore it in case the upgrade fails. Second point is upgrade the control plane node. Where there is no issue, you can upgrade the control plane and your applications will be still running. Then you can upgrade the kubelet and kubectl on control plane nodes. Moving forward, you can upgrade your worker node groups one by one. Correct? Before upgrading, each worker node must be drained to prevent workload disruption. Whatever the pods are running, those pods will be running, or you can evict and you can transfer these pods onto the different nodes and then upgrade your worker nodes. That way you can safely upgrade your Kubernetes cluster along with your worker node, and there will be a zero downtime kind of thing. Even upgrade cluster add-ons as well, ingress controller, your VPC CNI, or any other things which are associated as add-ons that you need to upgrade at the same time. How do you secure a Kubernetes cluster? Enable RBAC, which restrict user access using roles and role bindings that we talked about as well before. With the help of your service account and role binding to the cluster, you can secure who can access up to what amount, like read, modify, administration kind of thing, that you can enable. Pod related security admission, use admission controllers to enforce the pod security standard. Correct? So you can use this one as well. Enforce network policy, restrict pod communication. By default, all pod can communicate with each other, but if you have to restrict the communication between the different namespaces, between the different pods, you can use this network policy to secure the things. Then you can use the rotation of API tokens and certificates, the TLS certificate what you are using. You should rotate it after certain interval of time. Suppose that you are rotating your certificates after 90 days. So that you should do always. Use your AWS Secret Manager or Vault for your storage of your secrets related details. Next question is, how do you implement high availability in Kubernetes? For that, you can use the multiple control plane nodes, multiple API servers, prevent downtime if one fails. Enabling the cluster auto scaler. So you can use the Carpenter or any other tool which can work for auto scaling of the cluster itself. So whenever there will be requirement of addition or removal of nodes, that can be done automatically without any manual interruption. So these are the questions I wanted to talk about. These are advanced interview questions on Kubernetes topic, and this is all I wanted to talk about. Let's meet in the next video. Till the time, you subscribe to the channel so that I will get encouraged to create more interview questions for you, and stay tuned with this channel for the latest updates. Till the time, enjoy your DevOps learning and interview preparation.